28%. 42%. Maya. That's quite a bit. All right. There we go. Live from the Jing of Bay. It's Tuesday night. There we go. Very good. Plan B does 2012 prices. HSK in the morning. Delta unit number 1 done. Chinese check. Well, we might not do that. And is it worth it to wait for natural or AI assisted language abilities? And the Ukraine offensive. Well, what happens when they hit the border? And finally, Starbucks CEO change from Howard Schultz to Narasimhan? Lanax? Oh, I forget his. I should have wrote his first name down. Sorry. Tuesday, September 13th, 2022. I'm Steve Masursky, and give me 1 second. I'm going to take those headphones off. I was wearing headphones to check the sound qualities, and there's some bit of a delay going on, so it's a little bit distorting. That's why I was kind of wondering when I was having trouble getting through the introduction of today's episode. I hope that today's episode sounds a little bit better than yesterday. Yesterday had, I don't know if it was set up properly in terms of what output sound it was recording. I've now started using my Zoom H4n as the in and out box to my computer. So I have that hooked up via USB into a multi-port hub, which is the Ethernet cable that connects to my MacBook. So this powers both. This plugs in my Ethernet cable, my camera, and my microphone here, all into this little box, and it makes it very easy. Now, the port has gotten a little bit jiggly over the years. As a result, if I remove that whole thing, the whole system shuts down, basically. So, that will be why, like, if there's ever an interruption in the video feed, that would be why. Anyway, so it is Tuesday already, and yeah, Plan B. So I've talked about this bar before. Not sure if I mentioned before but they're having one special going throughout September. It's their 10th anniversary this year. So imagine, think back 10 years ago, this bar opens up, and I can see why they sort of gained a bit of a reputation because back in the day, they used to do a lot of different activities and everything, but nowadays they're sort of, the last couple of years have been kind of restrictive, but they've made it this far, and the month-long special now is that they have 25 renminbi, so $5 burgers, and was it $10 pints of Tiger beer? No, it's the other way around. Sorry, it's $5 pints of Tiger and $10 burger. So 25 kwai for Tiger and then 50 renminbi for the burgers. Now, this is not affiliation. There's no, I don't get any kickback from this at all. It was just that we were actually there yesterday, and we stopped off by Confidential as well. Had a couple of shots of Sambuca to cap the night. As, back to work, but not really. Today was my only day of work. I think I work on Thursday, but tomorrow's a day off, thankfully. So I was talking about getting this podcast recorded. Now I stopped myself doing that today because I'm like, you know what I can do instead? I can spend some other time getting some other stuff, like working on my Delta materials as well. But then tomorrow I have all day, so that tomorrow I'm going to sit down and do the final tweaks on the files that I need to get done. The one issue with episode number 32 is that there's a bit of a warble on the front and the back end, so it's like my introductions they don't sound proper, so I gotta do those. But episodes 32 and 33 coming out very soon. I'll have some clips out for you as well. HSK in the morning. So today was an off day for workouts, and I've already started thinking that in terms of going ahead with these workouts, I kind of want a week off, to tell you the truth. It kind of hit me today, like with HSK, the Delta starting, with work being like every day throughout August, pretty much, or at least Monday to Friday, which is every day for me. I mean, and now we're basically locked down again, not Beijing, but outside of the city, so you can't travel anywhere either. wouldn't mind some time just to chill out. So tomorrow's actually kind of a nice day to, we're not working, but I have no problem with it because I kind of need the time off. It's been pretty busy, pretty go, 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 go for the last month and a half. So I'm welcoming the little bit of respite. So right now. I am working on my HSK5 vocab, and yes. So speaking of this, we went to this confidential bar. The bar's name is Cult Confidential, and we were talking to the barkeep, and it was actually kind of interesting. We were holding a conversation. I did not need my girlfriend to translate very much, so it was decently fluent. Now, how much did he actually understand? Who knows? But I was able to understand a lot of what he was saying. So now there has been improvements on the conversations of my Mandarin Chinese, and I think it's time for me to do a Chinese check video. Now, if I might not get that done tonight, but certainly tomorrow. What am I going to talk about, though? I think, again, one of these things that it'd be nice to have, but this is one of the reasons I started this language vlog, actually, is so that I can check my language progress. So even from 2 months ago, it'd be kind of interesting to see how much has changed. Have my tones changed at all? Has my grammar changed? Probably not. I know my vocab has expanded a little bit as I've been focusing quite a bit more on that instead. I know I still need to work on my tones and the spoken grammar. I am not looking to sign up for any formal classes, but I will be booking more classes with that with a few more conversationalists on italki. The US dollar has been going down, so I'm looking at it going, okay, this is a time to. Nope, the US dollar's back up again. Shoot, the markets are down, but the US dollar is up substantially by almost 1%. Well, that's not good. That dropped the price of gold, dropped the price of silver. Well, that was kind of weird anyway. That gold and silver spiked yesterday, but yeah, broad markets are down anyway. Not that you guys really want to hear too much about a financial report. You can always listen to the news for that. But US dollar goes up, which means that it's more expensive for me to use renminbi or WeChat to pay for these italki credits. And since all the italki credits are done in US dollars, I'm watching this currency right now and thinking, well, now's not the time I really want to be buying credits. I would rather hold off and wait for the US dollar to drop a little bit if it does, and then that way I can buy more credits using WeChat Pay rather than using something like PayPal or something like that. Delta Unit 1 done. And I'm going to make a little wrap-up video for this as well, just going through some of the key things that we reviewed. I got all the assignments in, actually. I was surprised. I didn't get them 100% done, but I mentioned this before, that it's not necessary, like, we're not getting graded on these assignments. It's more for our own understanding and our own, development. I did read through all of the material online. I'm making my way through... how languages are learned. This is actually kind of fascinating. They cite a bunch of studies of how like kids learn like their first language, like children. So we always talk about, you have to be like a child to learn a language, and to some extent that's true. To another extent, it's completely false, because you can't replicate the same brain development that a child is going through. Impossible? Or is it just not yet, right? I mean, but your brain solidifies at some point, mush, whatever. It stops growing the same way that a baby's or a child's brain grows in the formative years. So these studies have pointed out that there's sort of an order of acquisition to at least the English language, and how these children will acquire the ability to use like the past tense, like ed ending or s ending, to go from single word sentences to two word question, like invert the question words and stuff like that. So, and then how they start producing the who, what, where, when, why questions, and how they learn those in different stages as well. And it's pretty consistent over how long it takes them to do it. Although it might change on some ends, the average is pretty consistent that by 5 they're able to sort of make all these questions and understand most of the implications of what they're asking. So if they ask why something's happening, or how, or when, like these sort of conceptual questions, like when is it today or tomorrow in 5 minutes. They don't always understand that. So contrast all of this with an adult learner where you know all of these concepts. You're not learning the concept of time. You're not learning the concept of, you keep on asking why or wei shima, wei shima, wei shima. Especially sometimes in China, you can ask wei shima all you like, why all you like. You're not going to get an answer that's going to actually explain what's going on. You're still going to be left in the dark. Almost literally sometimes if you haven't paid your electricity bill. And so with this, it's kind of neat that they have pinpointed this sort of, they've done this sort of research that helps understand how children develop over time. But the one number that stuck out actually is how much time these kids are actually spending being exposed to their first language, to their parents and to the languages around them and everything. It's like 20,000 hours or something like that. So it's a substantial amount of time. I'm thinking I'm going to up my grade point average on my HSK test by like 1 point by doing 3 hours a day. Almost seems like that's kind of a bit of a joke, to tell you the truth. But Unit 2, starting now with Delta. And so this is week number 2. Doing some of the reading. I mean, I was actually surprised with the Unit 1 tasks. They weren't as difficult as I thought they would. They just required me to focus a little bit more, which I was kind of procrastinating with. So heading into week 2 here, I already see that there's more tasks to be done. Again, no pressure to get them done, but there are less chapters in the unit overall. And some of the essential reading, some of the heavily required reading that you're supposed to do has overlapped already. So they're already suggesting some of the same chapters going on in this. So it's not, it's not all completely new like it was last week. Already we're seeing some of this recycled material, I guess you could say. But so I swap between reading stuff on my computer, my tablet, and also a physical book, just to keep things moving. I'm not too worried about keeping all the notes straight because the tasks sort of consolidate a lot of that. That and the online materials that they provide actually gather a lot of the information anyway. So if you read it in 2 or 3 different places, I think it kind of sticks just a little bit better. So what's this natural or AI-assisted language thing? Okay, so this actually came up because I was thinking about this, what's going on here with this Delta course and learning that these kids, this order of acquisition is, if we get to the point where we are dependent on these tools, this technology to assist us in communicating with people around the world, so we're able to speak in our native language and not fear about being misunderstood and not have to learn new languages all the time. How do you think that's going to affect our brain development? Is it going to increase it, or is it going to detract from it? And is there going to be a point where we can almost, like right now we have a cell phone that is outside of our body, right? But we use it all the time, where it's basically attached. It's still external, and it's connected wirelessly to various networks and servers and towers and blah, blah, blah. What if? What if it wasn't separate? What if it got tattooed to our body, right? This before you think, wow, Steve's lost it, is actually, this also came from the idea that sports, like wristwatch monitoring devices, like these sport watches and stuff like that, the next big step or evolution will be either a sticker or a tattoo that you can, basically it's a microchip. Like, call it what it is. It's a microchip that's being implanted or stuck onto you somehow, and it's reading all your biometrics. The big brother is watching. That fear, we will subscribe to it because it'll be super sexy and cool and give us all this information that most of us don't actually need to know. But kind of like the iPhone 14 Pro Max. I mean, how many people need a phone like that can shoot 4K 24 frame cinematic blah blah blah, right? I mean, not too many people are going to actually use it, but it's there. The technology keeps on improving as it goes along. Same with these sports watches. And then I'm thinking, well, if you have the sports watch tattooed on your wrist or the top of your hand, could the new cell phone device patch be tattooed or stuck onto your temple. And then that way you can just think through whatever you need to do. What if it's a sticker on your temple that is shooting out a little beam that acts as a pair of glasses that only you can see? So it's a screen in front of your eye, like about a foot away or something. So it's like a projected image. It is a projected image, but only you can see it. And then you can use eye gestures to navigate the screen. Oh man, that's so cool. And I'm just an English teacher. Well, I belong in the realm of the arts. I mean, how do you even start researching stuff like that? I mean, it's easier to conjure up the nice ideas rather than to actually create the thing. Ask any number of the entrepreneurs out there. It's like, yeah, ideas, dime a dozen, man. Show me something that works, right? Right. So, natural or AI-assisted language. My big question is, how is it going to change our brains? Ukraine offensive. So I have asked before. Apparently, the offensive continues, and they are reclaiming land that has belonged to Ukraine before. My question has been, what happens once they hit the border? And the United States and NATO still seem to be sort of reticent to be giving the Ukrainians any long-range missiles for fear of what will happen. Like, will they start lobbing missiles into Russia? Moscow isn't all too far away from the Kharkiv border. Like right now, they're retaking parts of Kharkiv, and if they get a long-range missile system in Kharkiv, I can see how Moscow would be like a little bit perturbed about this. Although, does anyone really care how Moscow feels at this point? I mean, they did sort of instigate this whole thing, regardless of whether or not it was obvious or not. I mean, they still took that sort of step, right? But again, some people, I haven't noticed too many pro-Russian posts as of late. Some of them are still saying, yeah, well, the latest number I saw was the number of military or artillery units or some like bombs, 7-to-1 ratio in Russia's favor. The problem with it is, and they're saying you don't win wars with numbers like that. I'm going, right, but they don't have the United States intel, which seems to be feeding the Ukrainian army pretty well, and has pushed them back quite a bit. Now, you can say that this is a Russian feigned retreat. If that is, then the Ukrainian propaganda machine is going on pretty well as well, in that they're portraying the Russian soldiers as not wanting to be part of this battle any more than Ukrainian soldiers want to be there. So what exactly is happening? Good question. And I wonder if one of the reasons why we're not seeing more of an alliance between sort of the two big authoritative powers or authoritative seats is because there are elections coming up, but also it might be a little bit, if one makes a mistake, as Russia might have done here, they don't both want to go down, do they? I mean, you got to have some sort of ability to backtrack a little bit, just in case. You leave yourself some wiggle room, basically. Starbucks CEO to change again. Howard Schultz from, I'm going to have to look this up, okay? New Starbucks, what's his name? CEO. What is his name? I just read this article today. And one of the reasons I was reading this, Laxman Narasimhan. There we go. I'm probably rolling the R wrong, but that's fine. Laxman Narasimhan is the new CEO of Starbucks. Two reasons I came up with this. Number one, these CEOs, these guys work a lot. I mean, you can say what you will about CEO compensation and stuff like that, but they've politicked their way, or they have worked their way, or whatever. They still got into these roles where they are in the pictures, they're in the papers, they're the decision makers of the company. They have to deal with a lot of people all the time. Can you imagine dealing with the number of people that these guys have to talk to? And Schultz, I mean, he's the one who bought Starbucks back in the 1980s and created it into the global powerhouse that it is. He's returned 3 times to help the company fix itself. The last guy who just left actually was sort of ousted. He wasn't pushed out, but he left because he made it a little bit too much, too bureaucratic, and as a result, employee morale was kind of suffering as well. And I see how the girls and the guys here work. I mean, unofficially, they only, officially they work 8 hours, unofficially they work 12, and they don't really get much of a lunch. So they're working full like time and a half shifts with very little, with no compensation basically, which you can't do that in the United States, and I'm not sure where else they would do this, but China, I know they are paying them just above minimum wage, like just above. So this, when they're talking about how they're so proud to be paying these people more than minimum wage, and going, well, not that much. But so he's changing out. So, and this kind of struck me as, because this guy is coming in. They're looking to focus more on making the company a little bit more, was it not lean, what would you say? They use a different word here. One is to focus more on employee, like how employees are treating customers and stuff like that, to make sure it's a bit more of a better experience, but also I guess they're trying to rejig the Starbucks, the way that they're moving things, so making it less bureaucratic, basically, like taking away a few of the lines that are separating a few of the different divisions and stuff like that, making it just an overall simpler organization to run. So something along those lines. But also, I mean, I'm thinking of these employees here in China. Like, how's that going to feed back to them? How's it going to run down to them as well? It'll be kind of interesting to see. All right, folks, I'm going to leave it there. I know. Do you guys care about the Starbucks CEO? Would you guys want to be CEO? Is a good question. I mean, I remember a couple of years ago, 5, 6, 10 years ago, when the 4-hour work week came out by Tim Ferriss. A lot of people, I myself included, call yourself the CEO of your own company, right? And it's like, it's kind of like, fun, but in reality, being a CEO, the amount of shit that you must have to deal with, it struck me reading this article. I'm going, do you have it in you to be a CEO, especially in the modern day, wherein it's like trying to recruit employees that have so much more options of where they can work or what they want to do, or they have so many other things that they want to do that if they were only forced to work for you, they'd be bored stiff and they probably wouldn't do a very good job, right? Something along those lines. Folks, I'm going to end there. Show notes, tracks, and vids up on my website, stevensersky.com. Thank you very much for listening. I appreciate it, and we will see you again tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye-bye. And we will cut the stream there.